We have to see some of the detail. Our political editor, Andrew Clennell, has some of that for us this morning. He joins me here at the desk. Andrew, what have you got?
Laura, Sky News can reveal the proposed tax brackets that we're going to see from the Prime Minister tomorrow, according to sources. Have a look at this. Between $19,000 and $45,000, your tax rate will be dropped under this proposal from 19% to 16%. Between $45,000 and $135,000, it'll be a 30% tax rate. Between $135,000 and $190,000, the 37% rate remains. We know that under the Scott Morrison legislation, that was going to be 30%. And critically as well, it was going to be risen, this tax threshold for the highest earners from $180,000 to $200,000. That will be $190,000, is that my understanding, for 45 cents in the dollar once you earn $190,000 plus. So you can see there at the top end some trimming, and also the benefit of that tax-free threshold and the 16% rate down at the bottom end. So we'll have to get our we'll have to do some crunching of numbers, but I just wanted to bring the news as soon as I had it, Laura. That appears to be the new brackets that the Prime Minister is announcing tomorrow.
Okay, so it seems that at the top end, and again, we've got to go through the numbers. I'm not that great at maths, but it looks like what is proposed at that, I hate calling it the top end, but the higher end, the highest tax bracket.
The highest tax bracket,
that's coming down to $190,000.
Well, it's going up, I guess.
Going up, yes.
It's coming down from the Morrison legislation, but it's coming up from what it currently is. So it's currently $180,000, 45 cents in the dollar.
Yes.
The Morrison legislation has it changing July 1 to $200,000. Under this proposal, which obviously has to pass the Senate, that will come down to $190,000.
Yes.
But there is the benefit too for that first $45,000 of that moving from 19% to 16%.
So, I mean, we don't want to talk about savings here in terms of the budget, because I don't think with a budget surplus, I mean, this government would be pretty stupid to just bank those savings. They're going to redistribute it. But under the Morrison government's proposal, already legislated, it should be pointed out time and time again, is that there was going to be a saving of around $9,000 a year for that highest tax bracket.
Yes.
That is...
Or a tax cut of $9,000, put simply.
Yeah,
over a year.
That looks to be halved, at least.
I don't think that is halved from those figures, but I'll go away and look. I mean, I don't know. Again, I mentioned between $1,000 and $3,000 this morning. Yep. Could be $3,000 a year. That would be significant. But I'll go and have a look at what that... I'll come back in coming hours and talk to Kieran about what that actually means for the average wage earner. But you can see there a significant saving flowing through from that first tax bracket reducing. This is the first time that's been revealed amongst all the leaks.
Yes.
That does also flow onto the high income earners, but having said that, they're obviously not getting what they were promised, because you can see there the promise was the 45 cents in a dollar would start at 200 and it'd be 30 cents in that sort of third bracket, and that is just not happening.
Yeah, so that 37 was going to go altogether.
It was going to be 30, yeah.
Yep, right. Okay, so Anthony Albanese wasn't giving away too much detail this morning. He knew he was going to be asked about it at that media conference where he announced Kim Williams as the next chair of the ABC. He said, you'll have to wait until tomorrow, the National Press Club. Geez, there's a lot riding on this speech, Andrew.
Well, there is. And also it's interesting timing of caucus today, isn't it? 4 p.m. So...
What is that? Is that to stop leaks?
I think, well, you know, you can only assume that, but there's a full ministry meeting prior to that.
Work on printing cycles right?
I think, print deadlines, it's not bad, is it? But then they go to drinks at the lodge, so you've got to be on the phone quick if you're a backbencher.
Oh, that can happen.
And I think there's a bit of a suspicion the drinks at the lodge are to stop too much debate in the caucus, you know, but... it seems to have dragged on too long now, frankly. We had the announcement they were coming back. We got the first leak before they came to Canberra, even Cabinet, and now it steadily leaks. Fortunately, I've got one as well. You know, what remains tomorrow? Is there some other sweetener? Is there some energy bill sweetener? You would think so.
Because we're still waiting for that $275 saving on our energy bill, aren't we? Promise.
Yeah, and exactly. And electricity prices can fuel inflation. And at the moment, it's only really people on welfare who are getting those or very low incomes. So there's ability there to lift that to lower to middle incomes, that relief.
Perhaps jumping ahead here, but a final question on this. It would need to pass the Parliament, right, these changes?
Yep.
Is he sure he has the support? Because I know...
I don't know. I'm investigating that now.
Okay,
so.
all right.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I mean, you'd almost want to line it up with the Greens beforehand or some suggestion of it, but that's difficult to do. They will demand more, and they will demand no tax cuts for the higher end. So how is that going to play out?
Yeah,
there's a reason this is such a gamble.
Has shown himself to be kind of everything or nothing, you know, in some of these debates. Like, he eventually gets there, but he will.
That's a key phrase, though.
Yeah.
He eventually gets there.
Yeah.
And it's usually for one reasonably big concession.
But then it has a potential to make it even harder, messier for Labor. If they're fighting the Greens and the coalition on both sides, I mean, I know an election's not until next year. This is already something that is going to require the best sales skills that Anthony Albanese have ever had. I'm not confident that he's got it.
Well, the story of them fighting the coalition and the Greens has been the story of the Parliament. In terms of the sales skills, yeah, it's a tough sell.
Yeah, and the question about all Labor backbenchers being on board as well. What do you think? Yeah,
no, I don't. I mean, the weird thing about this Parliament has been there's been so little resistance from caucus. I think that changes today.